Vexthala had been working at the Galactic Monitoring Center for 15 years. Every day she read reports about strange events across the galaxy. Most were boring. Ship crashes, mining accidents, the usual problems that happened when different species tried to work together in space. But lately something weird was happening. All the weird things seemed to involve humans. She pulled up her computer screen and started reading through the files. The first report made her pause. It was from Proxima Station, 3 months ago. The report said that engineer Jean from Earth had been working on the station's power system. The recording from that day was still in the files. "Hold my beer, I'm gonna make this reactor run better," Jin's voice said through the speakers. What happened next should have destroyed the entire station. Instead, Jean accidentally created the first stable warp tunnel that could carry ships across the galaxy in minutes instead of years. Nobody knew how he did it. Jean himself said he just played around with some wires. Vexthala frowned and opened another file. This one was from the Kepler mining colony. Last month, a human woman named Bo had been trying to dig deeper into an asteroid. The miners had been stuck at the same level for weeks. "Hold my beer, watch me show you real mining," Bo had said. Bo used a new drilling method that should have cracked the asteroid in half. Instead, her drilling woke up an entire civilization of rock creatures that had been sleeping inside the asteroid for thousands of years. These creatures, now called the Stone People, became humanity's newest trading partners. They knew secrets about mining that made everyone rich. The pattern was getting clearer. Vexthala opened more files. There was Engineer Ho from the Mars colony. He had said, "Hold my beer," before trying to fix a broken weather machine. His fix accidentally made Mars grow the most beautiful flowers anyone had ever seen. Now Mars was the galaxy's most popular vacation spot. There was Captain Sue from the merchant ship Happy Trader. She had said, "Hold my beer," before trying a new way to fly through an asteroid field. Her method was so crazy that it worked perfectly. Now every pilot in the galaxy used Sue's flying method to travel safely through dangerous space. There was Dr. Min from the medical station on Europa. He had said, "Hold my beer," before mixing 2 medicines that should never be mixed. His accident created a cure for the blue fever that had been killing people across 5-star systems. Vexthala kept reading. Every file was the same. A human would say those 3 words. They would try something that seemed impossible or dangerous. Something would go terribly wrong. But then, somehow, everything would end up better than before. She counted the files. In the past 2 years, there had been 47 major incidents involving humans saying, "Hold my beer." Every single one had started as a disaster. Every single one had ended as a breakthrough that helped the entire galaxy. The strangest part was that humans seemed to know this would happen. They never looked worried when they said those words. They looked excited. Vexthala called her boss, Director Naal Keth. "Sir, I need to show you something important." 20 minutes later, Naal Keth was staring at the same files. His green face had turned pale blue, which meant he was very worried. "This cannot be a coincidence," he said. "These humans are either the luckiest species in the galaxy, or they are the most dangerous." "I think they might be both," Vexthala replied. Naal Keth rubbed his forehead with all 4 of his hands. "What happens when they say those words?" "Everything changes," Vexthala said. "But nobody can predict how. And they keep saying it? More and more often. I think they like the results." Naal Keth was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke. "We need to warn the other species. If humans are going to keep doing this, everyone needs to be ready." "Ready for what?" Vexthala asked. "I don't know," Naal Keth admitted. "That's what makes it scary." Vexthala looked at her screen again. She had just received 3 new reports. All from today. All starting with the same 3 words. She opened the first one. Engineer June from the Luna base had said, "Hold my beer," before trying to improve the base's air recycling system. The report wasn't finished yet. It just said, "Situation developing. Results unknown. Recommend immediate monitoring." Vexthala had a feeling that her job was about to get much more interesting. And much more terrifying. 6 months passed since Vexthala had discovered the pattern. The Galactic Council had many long meetings about what to do. Some species wanted to ban humans from saying those 3 words. Others wanted to study humans more closely. A few species thought humans should be locked away somewhere safe. But Director Naal Keth had a different idea. "We cannot stop humans from being human," he told the Council. "But we can be ready when they do human things." The Council agreed to build the HMBIS, the Hold My Beer Alert system. It was the most expensive project in galactic history. They put listening stations near every human colony. They trained artificial intelligence computers to recognize human voices saying those three dangerous words. They connected every military base, every space station, and every planet to the warning system. The system went online on a Tuesday morning. Commander Rilnox of the Altarian Defense Fleet was drinking his morning tea when the first alert came in. Red lights started flashing all over his ship. A loud alarm began ringing. His communications officer, Lieutenant Zekmal, looked confused. "Sir, we're getting a maximum threat alert," Zekmal reported. "Level 10 emergency." Level 10. Rilnox jumped up from his chair. Level 10 was reserved for things like star explosions or alien invasions. "What's the threat?" "The computer says, a human on Titan 7 just said, 'Hold my beer.'" Rilnox stared at his officer. "That's it?" "Yes, sir. The system is now ordering all ships to move to minimum safe distance. Emergency evacuation protocols are active across 3 sectors. Across the galaxy, the same scene was happening everywhere. On the trading station Nexus Prime, merchant ships were rushing to leave the docking bays. On the planet Zephyr, schools were sending children to underground shelters. On the mining colony New Hope, workers were evacuating to escape pods. All because a human somewhere had said 3 words. The human in question was a maintenance worker named Ko. He worked on Titan 7, a small mining station that produced fuel for spaceships. Ko was having trouble with a broken gravity generator. The generator kept making weird noises, and the gravity kept turning on and off randomly. Ko had been trying to fix it for 3 hours. His supervisor kept asking when it would be ready. The miners needed steady gravity to do their jobs safely. "I don't know what else to try," Ko said to his friend Day, who was helping him. "This thing is really broken. Maybe we should call for a replacement part," Day suggested. Ko looked at the mess of wires and metal pieces. Then he looked at his toolbox. Then he got an idea that made him smile. "Hold my beer," Ko said, handing Day his drink. "I'm going to try something." At that exact moment, warning systems activated across 47 star systems. The Galactic Emergency Network sent out alerts in 600 different languages. Military fleets changed course to avoid the Titan 7 sector. 3 different alien species declared their home worlds to be in a state of emergency. Ko had no idea about any of this. He was too busy taking apart the gravity generator. "Are you sure about this?" Day asked. "You're mixing the gravity controls with the power controls?" "Trust me," Ko said, connecting 2 wires that the manual said should never be connected. "I saw something like this in a movie once." On the planet Zirian, President Mokhtar was watching the news with his advisors. The news reporter was talking about the human situation. "This is the first test of the new alert system," the reporter said. "Military experts say we should know within the hour whether the system works correctly." "What if it doesn't work?" asked one advisor. "Then we might all die," President Mokhtar replied. "Or we might all become very rich. With humans, both things are equally possible." Back on Titan 7, Ko finished his repairs. The gravity generator hummed quietly for the first time in weeks. The gravity felt smooth and steady. Ko was proud of his work. "See," Ko said today. "I told you it would work." What Ko didn't know was that his simple repair had done something impossible. He had somehow created a gravity field that could be adjusted to any strength. Heavy things could be made light. Light things could be made heavy. The applications were endless. Within days, every space construction company in the galaxy wanted to buy Ko's invention. Moving heavy equipment became as easy as moving feathers. Building space stations became 10 times faster and cheaper. Ko became the richest maintenance worker in galactic history. He still didn't understand what all the fuss was about. He had just fixed a broken machine. But across the galaxy, alien leaders were starting to understand something important. The alert system worked perfectly. The problem was that disaster and miracle meant the same thing when humans were involved. Commander Rilnox wrote in his report, "HMBS functioned as designed. Recommend keeping all evacuation protocols active. Also recommend investing in human engineering projects immediately." The system was working exactly as planned. That was what made everyone nervous. Gene had been having the worst week of his life. His cargo ship, the Lucky Star, was 3 days away from Earth when the coffee maker broke. Not just broken, completely dead. The machine wouldn't turn on, wouldn't heat water, wouldn't do anything except sit there and mock him. Coffee was not just a drink for Gene. It was life itself. He needed coffee to think clearly. He needed coffee to work properly. He needed coffee to be human. The ship's computer could make something that looked like coffee. But it tasted like brown water mixed with sadness. Jean had tried it once and immediately felt sorry for his taste buds. "This is terrible," Jean said to his co-pilot Wu, who was reading the morning reports. "What's terrible?" Wu asked without looking up from his screen. "This fake coffee. I can't live like this for 3 more days." "Just drink tea," Wu suggested. Jean stared at his friend like Wu had suggested drinking poison. "Tea is not coffee. Tea is what you drink when you give up on life." Jean looked at the broken coffee maker sitting on the counter. It was an older model, but it had always made perfect coffee. The repair manual said that fixing it required special parts that cost more than Jin's entire monthly salary. But Jean was desperate. He had tools. He had basic knowledge about electronics. How hard could it be? "Hold my beer," Jean said, handing Wu his morning drink. "I'm fixing this piece of junk myself." At that exact moment, alert systems across 3 star systems began screaming. On the military base Fortress Alpha, Admiral Kethara was in the middle of a strategy meeting when the alarms started. Every screen in the room turned red. A computerized voice began speaking in the calm tone that made everyone panic. "Maximum threat alert activated. All ships prepare for immediate evacuation procedures. Reason: human engineering event detected." "Where?" Admiral Kethara demanded. "Cargo ship Lucky Star, currently traveling through Sector 7, his communications officer replied. "What are they doing?" "Unknown, sir. The alert was triggered 30 seconds ago." Admiral Kethara looked at his star maps. Sector 7 was empty space between 3 major trade routes. Something went wrong there. The damage could affect millions of ships. "Order all vessels to jump to minimum safe distance immediately," he commanded. Meanwhile, Jean was completely focused on his coffee maker. He had taken off the back panel and was looking at the wires inside. Everything looked normal except for one wire that seemed a little loose. "I think I found the problem," Jean told Wu. "Are you sure you should be doing this?" Wu asked. "Maybe we should just wait and buy a new one on Earth." 3 days without coffee, Jean said. "I'd rather die." Jean grabbed his toolkit and started working. The loose wire needed to be reconnected to the heating element. But when he looked closer, he saw that the heating element was also broken. The quantum heating coil was completely burned out. In normal circumstances, this would mean buying a new coffee maker. But Jean was not in normal circumstances. Jean was desperate. He remembered that the ship's emergency heater used the same type of quantum coil. If he could take that coil and modify it to work in the coffee maker, he might be able to get his machine working again. "This might take a while," Jean told Wu, heading to the supply room. Across the galaxy, evacuation fleets were forming. The planet Kepler 9 had declared a state of emergency. The trade station Harmony Point had closed all docking bays. Even the peaceful planet Zenith had activated its defense shields. All because Jean wanted coffee. Jean returned with the emergency heater and began taking it apart. The quantum coil was bigger than the original coffee maker coil, but Jean thought he could make it work. He just needed to adjust the power settings and rewire the connection points. He worked for 2 hours, carefully connecting wires and adjusting settings. Wu watched nervously as Jean modified both the quantum coil and the coffee maker's internal systems. "I think this will work," Jean said finally, closing the back panel. He filled the machine with water and coffee grounds, then pressed the start button. The machine hummed to life. Steam began rising from the water chamber. Everything looked perfect. Then something unexpected happened. The quantum coil that Jean had modified was more powerful than the coffee maker was designed to handle. Instead of just heating water, it began heating the space around the water. The heating effect grew stronger and stronger until it reached a critical point. Reality cracked. A hole opened in the fabric of space right next to the coffee maker. Through the hole, Jean could see stars that looked different from any stars he had ever seen before. "Wu," Jean said calmly, "I think I broke something important." The hole grew larger. Soon it was big enough for a ship to fly through. On the other side, Jean could see alien vessels approaching the strange opening. First contact with the Andromeda Galaxy had been achieved. And Jin's coffee was perfect. "Well," Jean said, taking a sip, "at least something went right today." News traveled fast in the galaxy. Within 2 weeks, every human colony knew about the Hold My Beer alert system. At first, most humans thought it was funny. Some thought it was insulting. But a few humans thought it was an opportunity. Na worked as a terraformer for the Galactic Development Corporation. Her job was to take dead planets and make them suitable for life. It was slow work that usually took decades. Na had been working on Venus for 5 years and had barely made any progress. Venus was a terrible planet. The air was poison. The surface was hot enough to melt metal. The atmosphere was so thick that nothing could grow. Most experts said Venus would take at least 50 years to terraform, maybe longer. But Na had new ideas. Crazy ideas. Ideas that the Galactic Development Corporation would never approve because they were too dangerous. Until now. Na called a meeting with the Venus Climate Council. Representatives from 12 different species attended the video conference. They expected a normal progress report about atmospheric processors and soil treatment. Instead, Na had a very different presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, Na began, I have a new proposal for the Venus project. Council Chairman Vorthak looked interested. What kind of proposal? Na smiled. She had been planning this moment for weeks. I want to terraform Venus completely by Thursday. The council members looked confused. Today was Monday. That's impossible, said Council Member Laxera. Terraforming takes decades. Not the way I want to do it, Na replied. She activated her presentation screen. Her plan appeared in bright colors. The plan involved using orbital mirrors to heat specific parts of the atmosphere. It involved releasing special bacteria that would eat the poisonous gases. It involved exploding carefully placed charges in the upper atmosphere to change the air pressure. Every part of the plan was technically possible. But doing them all at the same time in 3 days was completely insane. This could work, said Council Member Dexmol slowly. Or it could destroy the entire planet. Or it could destroy the entire solar system, added Chairman Vorthak. That's why it's perfect, Na said. She stood up and reached for the coffee cup next to her computer. The council members watched her carefully. They all knew what was coming next. Hold my beer, Na announced cheerfully. I'm terraforming this planet by Thursday. The reaction was immediate. Emergency alerts began broadcasting across 4 star systems. Military fleets received evacuation orders. Civilian transports were told to leave the Venus sector immediately. On the planet Zircon, President W.L. Koff was eating lunch when his advisors burst into his dining room. Sir, we have a level 10 emergency, his defense minister announced. The humans are doing something to Venus. Evacuate? President W.L. Koff asked. The entire Terran sector, his advisor confirmed. President W.L. Koff sighed. Again? The evacuation was massive. Over 3 million beings left their homes and businesses to escape whatever Na was planning to do to Venus. Ships filled with refugees searched for temporary places to stay. The refugee fleet was so large that it had to split into smaller groups. One group went toward the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Another group headed toward the outer planets. A third group decided to explore some old star charts that showed possible habitable areas. Meanwhile, Na was having the time of her life. She started by positioning 47 orbital mirrors around Venus. Each mirror was the size of a small moon. When all the mirrors focused sunlight on the same spot, they could heat anything to incredible temperatures. Next, she released billions of specially designed bacteria into Venus's atmosphere. These bacteria ate carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid, the 2 main poisons in Venus's air. The bacteria worked incredibly fast because Na had modified them to reproduce every 10 minutes instead of every few hours. Finally, Na used controlled explosions to blow away the thickest parts of Venus's atmosphere. The explosions were timed perfectly to push the poisonous gases into space while keeping the breathable gases close to the planet. It was the most dangerous terraforming project ever attempted. It should have failed completely. Instead, it worked perfectly. By Wednesday evening, Venus had clean air and comfortable temperatures. By Thursday morning, it had light rain and growing plants. By Thursday afternoon, it was the most beautiful planet in the solar system. But the real discovery happened far from Venus. The refugee fleet exploring the old star charts found something incredible. Hidden in a forgotten sector of space were 3 enormous structures. Each structure was the size of a small planet. They were clearly artificial, but they were older than any known civilization. The structures were ancient alien megastructures built by a species that had disappeared millions of years ago. Inside the structures were technologies that no one had ever seen before. Computers that could think faster than any AI. Energy sources that never ran out. Transportation systems that could move objects across vast distances instantly. The discovery revolutionized everything. The technology found in the megastructures advanced galactic civilization by thousands of years. Na finished terraforming Venus exactly on schedule. The planet became the most popular vacation destination in the galaxy. The refugee crisis that she had accidentally created led to the greatest archaeological discovery in galactic history. See, Na said to the Venus Climate Council during her final report. I told you it would work, The Galactic Council meeting lasted for 3 days. Representatives from 800 different species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime. The topic was simple but terrifying: what to do about humans. Council leader Morthek stood at the center of the massive hall. His voice echoed through the chamber as he addressed the assembly. Fellow beings, we are here to discuss the human situation. In the past year, the Hold My Beer alert system has been activated 43 times. Every activation resulted in a galactic emergency evacuation. Every activation also resulted in a major breakthrough that benefited our entire civilization. The hall buzzed with conversation in hundreds of different languages. Some representatives looked worried. Others looked excited. A few looked completely confused. The facts are clear, Morthek continued. Humans saying "Hold my beer" leads to chaos. But this chaos consistently solves problems we didn't know we had. Representative Kixdow from the Centauri Federation raised her hand. What about the cost? We've spent billions of credits on evacuations. Our military fleets are exhausted from constantly moving to safe distances. True, Morthek agreed. But consider what we've gained. Stable warp travel from Jin's coffee maker accident. Gravity manipulation technology from KO's repair work. Contact with 17 new civilizations through Jin's dimensional gateway. Complete terraforming methods from Na's Venus project. Ancient alien technology from the refugee fleet discovery. The numbers were impressive. In 1 year, human accidents had advanced galactic civilization more than the previous 100 years of careful scientific research. I propose we stop treating humans as a threat, Morthek announced. Instead, we should treat them as our most valuable resource. The debate that followed was intense. Some species wanted to keep the warning system exactly as it was. Others wanted to encourage humans to have more accidents. A few species suggested putting humans in charge of all galactic engineering projects. Finally, Representative Zor Allen from the Academic Coalition stood up. I have studied human behavior for 20 years. They are not trying to cause chaos. They are trying to solve problems. The chaos happens because they refuse to accept that some problems cannot be solved. Is that good or bad? Asked Representative Velnara. It depends on your perspective, Zor Allen replied. From a safety standpoint, it's terrifying. From a progress standpoint, it's the most valuable trait any species has ever possessed. The vote was close, but the decision was unanimous in the end. The Hold My Beer alert system would be redesigned. Instead of warning about threats, it would alert everyone about incoming innovation opportunities. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council held a formal ceremony on Earth. Humans were officially invited to join the newly created Galactic Engineering Corps. The ceremony was broadcast live across the galaxy. Council leader Morthek stood on a stage in New York City, surrounded by human leaders and alien diplomats. Behind him, a huge screen showed the new HMBS logo, a human hand holding a beer bottle surrounded by stars. Today we recognize humanity as our partners in progress, Morthek announced. We invite you to bring your unique problem-solving abilities to challenges across the galaxy. The crowd cheered. Humans in the audience looked proud and excited. Alien representatives looked nervous but hopeful. There is one condition, Morthek added. We request 5 minutes advance warning before any major engineering projects. This will give us time to position safety crews and recording equipment. The human president, Lee Hyun, stepped up to the microphone. We accept your invitation with honor and enthusiasm. We promise to continue solving problems in the most creative ways possible. After the ceremony, there was a celebration party. Representatives from dozens of species mingled with human engineers, scientists, and inventors. Everyone was optimistic about the future. Near the end of the party, Engineer Hyun approached the microphone for a final speech. She had been working on theoretical physics problems for the past 5 years. Her latest research focused on entropy, the universal force that made everything in the universe slowly fall apart. I want to thank everyone for this opportunity, Hyun began. Working together, humans and aliens can solve any problem. She paused and looked out at the mixed crowd of humans and aliens. Everyone was listening carefully. In fact, Hyun continued with a smile, I've been thinking about our biggest challenge. The universe itself is slowly dying because of entropy. But I think I might have an idea about that. She reached for her drink and held it up. Hold my beer, Hyun announced cheerfully. I think I can fix entropy itself. The reaction was immediate. Every alien in the room activated their emergency communicators. Evacuation protocols began automatically. Military fleets across the galaxy started calculating safe distances from the entire universe. But this time nobody looked scared. They looked excited. After all, if anyone could fix the fundamental forces of reality, it would probably be a human with a crazy idea and 5 minutes to spare. The universe was about to become a very interesting place.